By the way, some of this stuff we talk about in a book that is coming out in 2 weeks, and this one this is actually not the follow-up to Overton Window. This is Overton Window. I'm a little wordy. And Overton Window was supposed to be like the first 2 chapters. This is, my instruction was, do not put the story back on my desk unless there is a lot of killing in the first chapter. And they were like, okay. Nobody wanted to do this story 4 years ago because everybody said, Glenn, nobody's going to believe that's not. It's too far out. The stuff that is in this now it's practically history. We have been working on this, and I would not. We have a lot of people who say, when is Overton coming out? When is Overton 2 coming out? I would not do it until the story was exactly right. It's called The Eye of Molok. And the Eye of Molok, Moloch is something that I got from reading Winston Churchill. He said Moloch is the god that, everybody talks about Hitler being involved in the occult. Well, let's be specific. Churchill was. It's Moloch. And the Eye of Molok is something that I was told 4 years ago was crazy. It'll never happen. Never in a million years would there be some place in the middle of the country, very, very high security, where you'd never be able to get in, where the NSA would eavesdrop and grab all of the information, all of the phone calls, all of the data, and they would put it in and they would crunch those numbers. No way that would ever happen. They opened it last week in Utah. Read The Eye of Molok. Currently fiction. Perhaps truth. And it's coming out in 2 weeks. And when you do it, grab for an extra $8. Grab Control if you haven't read that yet. Control, all about guns. I just got an email from Kevin. He said he saw a review from a doctor who said, I read this. He said, I was going to leave it in my lobby, and if you don't like it, then maybe you should go get another doctor. He said, but mine is it's almost all yellow. He said, I started highlighting it. He said, it's almost all yellow. So I didn't put it out there. He said, what I've done is I put a couple of out there, and if you want to take it from my office, great. And if you don't like that I have a book on against gun control, well, then go find another doctor. You'll self-select out. And I think that is absolutely fantastic. And I appreciate you sharing Control with your friends. And if you want to share a story and see in fiction what I believe is coming, The Eye of Molok, the follow-up to Overton 2, is available in about 2 weeks. I just in the break, I just had to cut a commercial for something for XM Sirius or Sirius XM. I'm doing an hour on next week sometime on The Eye of Molok, which is a new book that is coming out. When does this come out? Next week? Week after? Father's Day. I'm not sure. It comes out in a couple weeks. But it is the follow-up of The Overton Window. And it was actually written, the story I wrote, at the same time of The Overton Window, and just couldn't get it right, and that's why we haven't released it until now. And it is really good, really, really good. But it is amazing to me, the Eye of Molok, it is the all-watching eye, that you just keep giving more and more and hoping that it will leave you alone. And Molly and Noah and everybody from the Founders Keepers, basically the Tea Party, they're pinned down, and their every move, absolutely everything is being watched, and you kind of go through it, and it's amazing because I fought so hard for this storyline to be left intact and alone, but I had people, at the at Simon & Schuster and everything else that 4 years ago were saying, Glenn, this is not believable. This is really not.
And it is, well, today it's history. Last week I said, better grab this fiction novel before it becomes fact and history. And today we now know, because of what has come out in the news, it is now no longer fiction. The storyline is, but not what they're, we footnoted everything in here. So it's fact. The Eye of Molok. See it in story form. It's out this coming Tuesday. Out this Tuesday. Bookstores everywhere. When you grab it, what's really amazing to me is how many things this company has done in the last few months that is right on the money, against all odds. When Sandy Hook happened, we went right immediately into production for Control, and we said they're going to come after our guns, and you better know your rights, because they are going to come after your guns. And here we are with Control out, and that's exactly, and they are not done. I am telling you, they are not done. Please believe me, they're not done with that. They can't allow you to have guns.
Been saying for years, this NSA thing about the government taking all of our emails, intercepting all of our phone calls, watching our texts. We've been talking about that for how long?
A long time.
A long time.
And then
here it is in the news.
And here we have, just a few months ago, we did For the Record. And this is something that, as our network grows, I can do more and more news things, but news investigative journalism, doing it not sloppy, but really doing it right, is wildly expensive. And I can't afford if I want my company, The Blaze, to actually last and be good, I can't do shoddy media work. I can't. And I have to, when we're doing documentaries, when we're doing a 60 Minutes, it has to be as good as 60 Minutes. And it's wildly expensive. One episode, we sent people over to Egypt, a crew to Egypt. We did all kinds of things to get the story right that was not cheap. And it's important that we get it right. And here we go with For the Record. The first episode is going to re-air tonight at 8 o'clock, and that's on the surveillance state. How did we get here? Now, when we first aired this, nobody was talking about surveillance. We aired it 3 months ago. Nobody was talking about that. Now here we have that, the first episode. The second episode was on the spread of the violence in Egypt and the persecution of Christians in Egypt. The third story in that series was about the sex slave trade and how it really centered up in Ohio, and how there are people that are kept in basements in Ohio. That episode aired the day that story broke, or the day after that story broke. We'd been working on it for months. Mm-hmm. Now the Eye of Molok comes out, and it's all about the surveillance state. It's just not a coincidence. These things are true. And what I've said in the past, there are a couple of things that you really need to remember. The economy is going to be collapsed. It's going to collapse. They have to put pressure on the inside. I ask you to pray for peace in our country. I ask you to pray every night. Please pray these words. Lord, please, please protect those people in power. Thwart those people who wish to do them harm. Please strengthen the resolve, strengthen the righteousness, and strengthen the eyes of those in the Secret Service. Thwart those who wish to do us evil. Please pray those words every day. I pray them every day, twice a day. Please. There is going to be increased pressure to do a grab, a night of long knives, if you will. Look it up if you don't know the history. But as these things start to come unraveled, the other thing that I have warned you about, that as they become unstable, people will become more vicious. It is why that video of the First Lady yesterday was so disturbing, because that is the beginning of the mask coming off. They will become more vicious. They will become, this is a zero-sum game. There's only going to be one of us standing at the end of this, and they have all of the power. So what power is it that you're relying on? The other thing that I have asked you to do, and I've asked you to do it since before Washington, it's not too late. In fact, I want you to remember these words. Please hear me and remember these words. It is never too late to change course. It is never too late to clean up your life. It is never too late to admit your wrongs. There is always a different way. Always. Never believe anyone who tells you differently. But I ask you, if you have woken up enough today after you see what's happening with the NSA and everything else, is there anything in your life that you don't want on the front page? Now, you might think no, but I want you to understand two things. If I'm nefarious and I have that much information and I have connections, I have every connection to you. I know everything you purchase. I know every location you have been to. I know and have access to every phone call that you've made. Now remember, I'm nefarious. I can take anything out of context. I can assemble your life. I could tell the story of your life in 100 different ways. I can make you a hero or I can make you a villain. Don't give anyone any ammunition. Is there anything in your life that you need to stop doing right now? We have changed our lives and the way we do things somewhat, not enough, because we are protecting whistleblowers. We are protecting sources. This is not a game, and I have asked you to please support us. Please help us. Buy the products that you hear advertised on our show, or, when you read The Blaze. Please visit those websites. Don't buy anything that you don't need. Don't buy anything you don't think is quality. Don't buy anything that you don't believe in. But if you need that product, buy them from our sponsors, because it encourages them to continue to sponsor with us, and we can be able to raise our rates. And that way you don't pay for any of the stuff that we do. If you have it in you, and you have $9 a month, please, I would ask that you either subscribe to The Blaze or you give it to a friend as a subscription. You even give it as a gift. There is a way for you now to just give it as a gift online. Just go online, give it as a gift. Give it to a college student. Or just sign up Mickey Mouse and Donald Duck if you have to, if that's what you feel like. For some strange reason, you have nobody in your life you could share it with. And help us build The Blaze. Help us tell the truth. We are protecting whistleblowers. And so we've had to look into different ways. There are ways to encrypt things. There are ways to have encrypted phones. There are ways to have encrypted information. But I have news for you. I can stop a good hacker, most likely. If I am really serious, if I'm a bank or whatever, I can stop a pretty serious hacker. I can't stop the government. I can't stop them. They have unlimited resources. They will use all of those resources to find a way into my systems. Even the best hacker will be able to probably beat anything I could buy on. There are some things that you can do. There's what's called Iron Key. It's a personal flash drive. It keeps your computer completely free of anything. You put this thumb drive in, and it has a browser, so anything you look online, anything you do online, all goes down to the thumb drive, and then that computer remains clean. But I got news for you. It's not. It's really not. There are things that you can do, but not to protect yourself from the government. I'm looking at doing something that is probably the most risky thing that we've ever attempted to do. And it has nothing to do with politics. It has everything to do with saving children. We're talking now about working with some people on building an underground railroad for those people who are being sex trafficked, kids, finding a way to help them, finding a way to save them. For $10,000 a child, I can send a team in to the middle of a jungle or a middle of Cleveland, Ohio, and I can send them in and I can save them. It's quite an amazing thing. But as I'm talking with members of the former members of the FBI and sex crimes people and all of the people that work on technology for the government, private firms that have created amazing software, you can find who the child molesters are. You can find them quickly. You can find anybody who's molesting children. You really can find them quickly. It's not that hard if you have the right software. If I can go to a company that has developed something for the United States government that they use to solve sex crimes, and I can put an algorithm out and say, look for these things, and I, with a 99.9% accuracy, break down a door. If I'm the FBI, break down a door, and I've got a pedophile there, and I have a 75% chance that there is a child that has been kidnapped, and they're in that house. If I can do that with one algorithm, believe me, the federal government can make you into a criminal no matter what you're doing. And if you're having an affair, or if you're online even looking at pornography, congratulations. You're not doing anything wrong? Really? Are you telling me that somebody can't come to you and say, Bill, let me tell you something. I don't think you're going to have that political opinion anymore. I don't think you're going to speak out. I don't think you're going to run. I don't think you're going to be a part of any of that stuff. I don't think you're going to do that at the office, whatever it is. I think you're going to sit down. You're going to keep quiet. My gosh, the stuff you look at night, my goodness. You might not think you're doing anything wrong. Well, everybody, do they? But you're not really everybody now, are you? And not everybody has their face with those pictures right next to them online. You will. Welcome to 1984. It's here.